Hey guys, what's up? So today I have a collection update. I know my last couple updates have been purely vinyl, but this time I have all three formats to show. So I have some tapes, some CDs, and some records to show. So this might be kind of a long video, but I'll try not to drag it out too long. But yeah, before I show the first record, we're spinning this in the back. Bloodbath, Nightmares Made Flesh. Arguably my favorite by Bloodbath. Depending on my mood, it'd be either this or the Fabulous Mastery, but I probably tend to lean towards this one because this one I probably spin more often than that one, but yeah. I know this one has Peter Tappan from Hypocrisy on vocals, and I didn't know too recently, but it was produced by Dan Suano, and he also played guitar on this record too, which that explains why the production sounds good, because everything he's produced sounds great, so I'm sure most of us are familiar with Bloodbath at this point. Okay, I'll show the tapes first. So, the first thing I got, if you can see because of the glare, this is Disentombed with Sunken Chambers of Nepolism, I think. Sorry about the glare, I'm going to take this out so you can actually see it better. Disentomb are a, I guess, brutal kind of death band from Australia, I believe, which I'm extremely picky with brutal death slam type stuff, but this isn't slam, just straightforward, good brutal death metal, but with a little bit of technicality in it mixed in, which if I'm going to listen to the kind of brutal stuff, I like it to be in the more technical side compared to the more kind of mid-paced, slower stuff, but yeah, these guys definitely have their own unique sound. This is, I mean, they're considered sloom, which is like slam and doom. It's kind of a dumb term, but it's appropriate for the music, but this is, to me, this basically sounds like if Incantation was a brutal death metal band, so if you like Incantation and you want them to, if you wonder what Incantation would sound like if they were a brutal death band but more technical, this is a good record. Not my favorite by them, my favorite would definitely be their second record, Misery, but this is a solid record, so Disentomb, Sunken Chambers of Nephilism. And like last video, how I left all those samples, I have a lot of shit to show, so this video would be an hour long if I were to do that, so I'm not doing that this time, but I'll leave links in the description. So you're welcome for that at least, but. Okay, next up we have, I think, an EP from this year. This is The Passing with the self-titled EP, The Passing. So these guys are either Swedish or California-based kind of crusty beat band. I don't know if it would be considered crust or D-beat, but because it's definitely more crust sounding than something like Discharge, but it's less crust influence than Disrupt. So in between Discharge and Disrupt is kind of what this sounds like for style-wise. I don't know how many other releases they have besides this release. This is, I believe, self-released. Nope, it said, okay. Los Angeles Hardcore 2020, so okay, I knew they were from LA or Sweden, but I believe this, nope, I'm wrong again. Put out through Caligari Records, so if you're a fan of like Disrupt or Discharge, but you want something kind of in between those two styles, this is a solid EP, so like I said, I don't know what else they have. I believe this is their only release so far, but I could be wrong, but I just bought this on their Bandcamp, so check Bandcamp, it should be readily available, but yeah. So good, solid kind of metal sounding D-beat record from this year. Okay, this one I've only seen, I think one person showed, I think Simon Explosive Action showed the LP of this. This is Reeking Gunk of Abhorrence by Cryptworm, so basically these guys are like the Swedish answer to Fetid. So which Fetid put out one of the best records of last year in my opinion with Steeping Corporeal Mass, which I guess I'll grab that really quick. If you don't know, I'm talking about this record from 20 Bucks Spin. I have the LP too, but the tape was easier to grab. So it's super dirty and dingy sounding gross death metal from Sweden. Who put this out? I think Extremely Rotten? Maybe? It doesn't say who put it out. I'm guessing Extremely Rotten, but I could be wrong. No, never mind. Live After Death Records. Yeah, I was wrong, but... So basically, if you like Fetid, this is a really good record, but super gross. The production makes the guitars sound really slimy, but... So yeah, if you like super dirty, dingy death metal, basically the album sounds like it looks. It looks disgusting. It sounds exactly like this, so... Reeking Gunk of Abhorrence is a very appropriate album title for this, so yeah. If you like Fetid, check this out, so... Cryptworm, Reeking Gunk of Abhorrence. And I got this through the Bandcamp page. I'm still waiting on one tape from Bandcamp, I think. One or two, but... Okay, this is a record of a band in period I've never seen anybody mention in the VC. I'm not really sure why, but... Maybe because the band name's kind of stupid. This is to Conceal the Horns with Purist. So these guys are from, I think, Finland. This is put out through Worship Tapes. And to me, this sounds like a mixture of early Demu Borgir mixed with Cosmic Church. So if you like that kind of, but though some of the early Demu stuff obviously has keyboards and stuff too, but the keyboards in this are kind of more farther back, like more distant in the mix. They're kind of like far away, so they're not as upfront as some of the early Demu stuff. Obviously, Demu later on would be full orchestra, but you know what I mean. But even in the earlier stuff, you can still hear it. The keyboards are still kind of in the same level as the other instruments, where, at least for this, the keyboards are definitely more in the background, so... Cool, printed tape. This came out this year, I think? Yeah, this year through Worship Tapes. I know they have a couple, I think they have a demo and an EP prior to this, but... Yeah, definitely check this one out. If everything I'm going to talk about today, this is my recommendation to check out today, so... If you like Cosmic Church and early Demu Borgir, this is a solid record, so... I know, kind of stupid band name, but give it a chance, so... To Conceal the Horns, Purist. Okay, that's it for the tapes, so we have another 2020 release. Gorophilia with the Eye of Nothing. Yeah, in the Eye of Nothing, so... These guys are like the Finnish answer to Morbid Angel, which obviously I love Morbid Angel, so I have zero problem with bands ripping off Morbid Angel. So I've listened to this like probably 8 or 9 times, and I don't think it's as good as the record from 2017, which that one is called. I don't remember what that one's called, so I don't think it's as good as this one from 2017, Severed Monolith. This is one of the best death metal records of the last like 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. But that record, when it comes to the Morbid Angel influence, that record is definitely closer to like Covenant era. With this, it's definitely more in line with like specifically the slower moments on Blessed Are the Sick or Gateways to Annihilation. So it's that record's faster and more pummeling. This one I think is more doji and heavier, but I know their vocalist, I think, committed suicide, so they have one of their guitarists is now doing the vocals as well as playing the guitars, so definitely different vocal approach from their first record, but I believe this is their 3rd full-length, I think they have a demo, an EP, and a couple full-lengths prior to this. I still need to pick up their debut record, but this was put out through Dark Descent. It should be readily available, because it seems like everything Dark Descent puts out, it's always available. It doesn't seem like it's very much of a pain in the ass to get, but yeah. So, if you like Morbid Angel and you want a band continuing on with that style in 2020, but honestly doing it better than Morbid Angel's done the last 15 years, definitely solid record. But I still prefer Severed Monolith to this, but this is still a good record. So yeah, Gorophilia in the Eye of Nothing. Check this one out. I'm sure most of you have, in case you haven't. Okay, this is a record I got from Marty. This is Ulver with the themes from William Blake in the marriage between heaven and hell. So, of all the Ulver stuff I have so far, this is by far my least favorite. It's not bad, just kind of super pretentious. Like, it's way too long. It's like an hour and a half long, which it doesn't need to be, because there's only probably like 30 or 40 minutes of actual good music. There's definitely a lot of filler on this record, but there's not that many songs. It's kind of everything's just super drawn out, and it didn't need to be an hour and a half. It could have been like 40-45 minutes, and it would have been okay. But no, they had to drag it on to be an hour and a half for whatever reason. But this is the last album that Ulver did that had any metal in their sound. But obviously they abandoned black metal at this point. So this was the first record they did after Natron's Madrigal, I believe so. I don't know if it was the first release, because I don't remember if Metamorphosis, the EP, came out. I think it came out after this record, but I might be wrong, but I think I'm right. So this is their last metal record, but it's kind of arguably not metal. This sounds kind of more rock, bordering the bridge between rock and metal, but obviously nowhere near Ulver's best record, but it's far from a pile of shit, but it's good, it's kind of way too drawn out, so definitely doesn't hold a candle to the first three or any of the other stuff I've gotten since I started to appreciate Ulver's non-metal material, but it's still a decent listen. But yeah, so if you want Ulver at the most pretentious, this is a good record. So Ulver, the themes from William Blake's The Marriage Between Heaven and Hell, too long but still good. Okay, 2 records from the same band. This is Amorphia with Arms, Teeth, and Merciless Strikes. So basically, these are not original at all. This is early Sodom worship, but early Sodom is great, so I have no problem with bands worshiping early Sodom, but this one is specifically in the vein of Persecution Mania, and this one's in the vein of Ancient Orange. But of the two, I definitely prefer this one, but this one's good too. But definitely, I say it's Sodom worship because listen to the vocals. You could probably trick somebody that's kind of a newbie when it comes to metal and thinking it's a Sodom record. But listen to the vocals and you'll hear what I mean. But these guys are from India of all places, which is kind of funny. You don't hear a lot of bands from India. But I ordered this, I think, from their Bandcamp. It took like 3 or 4 months because, you know, COVID, but I think I was stuck in India for like 2.5 months, so that was kind of a bummer, but I'm glad it finally showed up. But who put this out? This is put out through Awakening Records. I don't know who that is. These are the only 2 releases I have by Awakening Records, but and this one sounds a lot like Agent Orange, maybe because it's the vocals on this one are a little bit lower, because if you know Persecution Mania versus Agent Orange, the vocals on Persecution Mania are definitely a little bit higher compared to what Tom was doing on Agent Orange. But again, this was put out through Awakening Records 2020, so yeah. If you like early Sodom, these are definitely good records. So obviously not original at all, but still solid releases, so yeah. If you want to check out one, I suggest this one, but these are both good. This one's probably raw, but this one I think is better songwriting, so yeah. Amorphia, Arms to the Teeth, and Merciless Strikes, so check out Amorphia. Oh yeah, also I think I found out about this band because one of the streams that all those guys used to do, like 4 months ago, someone mentioned Amorphia. They said, oh yeah, it sounds like early Sodom. I checked it out and I liked it, so there's that. Okay, let's look at some records. First up is a classic I finally got in my collection. This is Mystifer with The World Is So Good That Who Made It Doesn't Live Here. Kind of appropriate album title, but see, these guys are definitely, I would say, one of the more well-known black metal bands from Brazil, but this specific album in particular, you don't really see mentioned a lot by these guys. Seems like the most popular record from them is probably either Goetia or Wicca, which I'm not going to say which one is my favorite. It's probably a toss-up. Those first 3 records are all great, so it's kind of hard to pick which one's my favorite. But if you don't know Mystifer, they're black metal from Brazil, obviously. I think this came out originally in 1996. This is a Hammerheart repress, so musically it sounds like a mix of early Sarcophago and early Beherit. So like INRI, Sarcophago, and like Blood Ale Beheaded, what's that record called? God damn it. The Oath of Black Blood, okay. So like Oath of Black Blood Ale Beheaded mixed with INRI Ale Sarcophago, so. But also randomly there's these kind of like out of pitch, well, not out of pitch, but like weird like King Diamond yells that the vocalist does out of nowhere. You're like, oh, that good black metal. Then you hear some random King Diamond yelling moments, which is kind of, it's odd, but it somehow works with the music, even though you think it wouldn't. But anyway, that production sounds really good. But for this specific type of black metal, if the production was any rawer, it wouldn't kind of work. But for this style of black metal, the production definitely helps the music out. So. And music-wise, it's kind of like mostly mid-paced, but it gets faster at points, but mostly it's kind of mid-paced, it's kind of. It doesn't really go into full-on blasting that much, but it's kind of mostly mid-paced, which it's very first-wave black metal influence, so that's probably why. But anyway, there's the front. Cool album cover. I like the lions and the gravestone, the angels looking over it. There's the front. There's the back, guys in the band track listing, put out through Hammerhead reissue. I'm assuming Cogumelo put out the OG, because it seems like they put out every great Brazilian record from back in the day, but I could be wrong. This is one of my favorite looking records in my collection now too. Cool blue and black and white splatter, very nice, cool labels. So yeah, definitely of the early Mystifer records, I would say this one is definitely the most underappreciated in my opinion. So yeah, if you like Sarcophago and early Beheaded and you don't know Mystifer, I would say start with any of their first 3 records. Their first 3 are all undeniable classics, but I believe they put out 2 records since then. One in like 2003 and one either last year or 2018, but I haven't heard either of those 2. But yeah, I definitely still need to get Goetia and Wicca, but at least I finally have one of the records now. Yeah, check it out if you don't know. Mystifer, The World Is So Good That Who Made It Doesn't Live Here. Great record. Okay, going from a classic of yesteryear to one of my favorite records of this year so far. This is Infernal Brewer with Rights to the Nameless. So I was familiar with these guys because this record was put out through Bindrune, and Marty sent me this in a VCLT a few months ago. This one's called In Conjuration, I think. Yeah, In Conjuration. Well, this one is definitely a lot more progressive, kind of. This one sounds like a progressive version of Marduk. This one is definitely, they strip back the progressive tendencies. There's still a little bit of progressiveness in the songwriting, but it's mostly just kind of like straightforward, raw, second wave black metal to a T. But vocally, it reminds me a lot of Jeff Whitehead from Leviathan, so it's like a mix of like Leviathan mixed with early Marduk kind of, but not like Panther Division, the super blasty stuff, kind of like early stuff like those of the Unlight era Marduk. So it's kind of, it's fast, but it's more subdued. It's not just a full-on blast fest like they would do on Panther Division, but. And for this type of black metal, like I said, kind of what I'm repeating with the Mystifer, if this record was any rawer, it wouldn't kind of work, but this type of black metal, it needs a kind of, not warmer sounding production, but kind of cleaner so you can hear what's going on. But sure, if it was raw, it would be cool, but for this style of black metal, it sounds definitely where it needs to be. It's raw to the point where it sounds like it's people playing it, not just machines or computers playing it, but it's also produced good enough so you can hear everything. So a good mixture of raw and clean, I guess. But I think these guys are from the US. I'm not sure which state though. I forgot to look that up. I'll post a caption on screen which state they're from. But so yeah, this was put out through Prosthetic Records, which I'm going to show another Prosthetic Records release in a couple minutes. But yeah, there's the front, cool album cover. There's the back track listing. Only 6 songs in this one. Doesn't come, never mind, I was gonna say it doesn't come with a lyric sheet, but I lied. Lyrics. Guys in the band. Is this just black vinyl? Yeah, I believe it's a black wax. Black? Yeah, black, simple labels. It looks kind of almost green on camera, but I know it's just black. So yeah, If you like early Marduk, if basically this sounds like if Jeff Whitehead sang on the early Marduk records. So if that sounds appealing, this is definitely one of the best records of this year. But I'm surprised I haven't seen anybody show this record off yet. I'm not sure why, but anyway, if you're not familiar with Infernal Brewer, don't sleep on this guy. It's definitely one of the more underappreciated black metal bands of the last 10 years. So yeah. Infernal Brewer, check it out, Rites of the Nameless. Okay, this is honestly an album of the year contender for me. This next release is. This is Necrophobic with Dawn of the Damned, so their last record was really good, but I didn't think they'd be able to beat their last record, but honestly this blows their last record out of the water, which if you would have asked me at the end, if you would have asked me that in 2018, the next record's gonna blow that one out of the water, I would have said no way in hell, but fuck, they did it, man. I might sound crazy for saying this, but I'm hot take time. This is on par with the first two records. I know, that might be crazy to say, but those first two records are undeniable classics, but man, this one really, really impressed me. I've been listening to the shit out of this record, so if you're not familiar with Necrophobic, they are a black death metal band from Sweden, but I know their last two records, they got the original lead singer back, so that definitely gave them the kick in the ass that they needed, because the couple records prior to that were okay, but not anything special, but these last two have definitely a return to being great, so. And I don't know why people compare them to Dissection, maybe because they're both Swedish, but I don't hear any Dissection, well, I hear a little bit of Dissection influence in the songwriting, but I don't think they're a pure Dissection clone like people say they are, but maybe because Dissection is very much a black metal band with death metal influences, and these guys are kind of the opposite. They're a death metal band with black metal influences, so that's maybe why they get the Dissection comparison, but anyway, great, just listen to the ones. If you need a song to check out from this record, I recommend The Shadows and Devil's Spawn Attack, but they did the smart things. Side B is actually better than Side A, which most bands seem to put all the good songs on Side A, but they definitely saved the best for last, but every song on this record is good, like, fuck. But those are definitely the two standouts in my opinion, The Shadows and Devil's Spawn Attack, so check those two songs out if you only want to check out two songs for some reason, but. And Devil's Spawn Attack features guest vocal appearance from Smear from Destruction, so that's cool, so. There's the front. Love the Necrolord artwork, I love his artwork, I don't care if he's a one-trick pony, he does that one trick extremely well. Track listing put out through Century Media. I know there was a bunch of different variants, I forgot to pre-order this, but luckily my local record store had a copy, so thank you for that. Mini booklet with all the lyrics. Cool shot of the guys playing live. And I believe their drummer is the only guy who's been on every record. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right about that. It also comes with a cool poster. Just the album cover, but I like the album cover, but I don't like when labels put two images in the same poster. It's kind of weird, but it's like choose which side you want, but I would just want a cool picture on one side, not have to sacrifice not seeing the other side of the poster. That's just me nitpicking, so yeah, definitely one of my favorite records from this year. If I end up doing a top whatever end of year list video, this will definitely be on that list for sure, probably near the top, if not the top, so yeah, definitely one of my favorite records from this year. If you think only the first two records are worth anything, give this one a listen, you will definitely be impressed like I am, so yeah. Necrophobic, Dawn of the Damned, great record. Okay, next up, one of the most hyped records of this year. This is Undeath with Legions of a Different Kind. So these guys are from Rochester, New York, and basically if you know the band Outer Heaven from Philadelphia, this sounds like Outer Heaven mixed with a little bit of the Bleeding Ale Cannibal Corpse, so especially in what song was it? I think it was Kicked in the Prostrating Guts. There was a couple riffs that sound like they could be straight from the Bleeding, but my favorite songs from this one is definitely Acid Twilight Visions and Lord of the Grave. Those are definitely my favorite 2 songs on this record. Especially that main riff from Static Twilight Visions. Man, but I know before this they put out 2 demos which a lot of people were hyping. I didn't check them out for whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, but I still want to go back and hear the 2 demos, but this is definitely one of the best records of this year. I definitely can understand why it got a lot of hype, so. There's the front cover. Cool artwork, the guy getting his head cut off. I don't like their logo though, it's kind of just a boring block, but whatever. Me nitpicking. Back cover, put out through Prosthetic Records, so. Also comes with a lyric sheet. All the lyrics, random image. So yeah, if you like Outer Heaven and early Cannibal Corpse, this is a good record, so yeah. Undeath, Legions of a Different Kind, definitely check this one out. Okay, these next 5 records are, well, okay, I was gonna say, these next 5 records are all classics, but one came out in 2000, so I don't know if that's old enough to be considered a classic yet, but first of the classic stuff. Finally have this record in my collection. This is Angel Dust with Into Dark Past, so, by the album cover, can you tell what it sounds like? Yes, if you couldn't tell by the album cover, it is German thrash / kind of speed power metal type stuff, but I wouldn't really call it power metal. Maybe the production makes it sound more power metal, but I know every album that these guys did, I've been told this, I haven't listened to anything besides this record. Every album after this, they've gotten closer and closer to straightforward power metal, but this is definitely their most thrash metal influenced record of everything they did. But this came out, I think, like 88 or 80, between 86 and 88 this came out, I want to say, but yeah. So, I don't know who put this out originally, but this is a Hammerhead Records reissue, so if you like the first Blind Guardian record, but less power metal-y, but vocally it's kind of less soaring, it doesn't have the like typical power metal choruses that a lot of power metal has, but there's still a tiny bit of that Blind Guardian influence, but it's like early Blind Guardian mixed with early Destruction, and Death Row is a good way to put this record, sound-wise, but anyway, there's the front, the angel and the kind of demon angel fighting, so very cool album cover. There's the front. Back, guys in the band, logo. Put out through Hammerhead Records, like I said. Coke Bottle Clear record. There's the labels. Comes with a poster. Just the album cover, obviously, so. I also don't like square posters because square posters are kind of a pain in the ass to get a frame for some reason. I don't know why, but odd-shaped posters are kind of easier to get a frame for, which is kind of weird. You'd think it'd be the opposite, but it's not, so. And did I say Hammerhead Records? I meant High Roller. I don't know why I said Hammerhead, but yeah, High Roller Records put this out, not Hammerhead. Order form, which I don't know how up to date this order form is, so I believe they're not shipping to the US right now, so I had to order this from Discogs. But maybe they're shipping to the US again, but I know apparently COVID is getting worse, so I kind of doubt they're risking shipping to the US right now, but not risking it, but you know what I mean, because a lot of labels are having trouble shipping to the US because of the restrictions because of COVID and all that stuff, but so yeah. If you like the first Blind Guardian in the demos and early Destruction, early Death Row, mix this all together and you get this. So yeah, Angel Dust, Into Dark Past, definitely check this one out. Okay, next up, something totally different. This is Winter with Into Darkness, so Winter I would say is definitely one of the most influential bands in the whole Death Doom genre. along with like Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, and Anathema, at least all those bands' early releases, but unlike those bands who stuck around and changed their style, Winter put out one influential record and then dipped. We say, oh, I was done by, so I guess that's good to put out one really influential record and leave before you start making crappy records, but the same thing as Demolek. It's been so long since they put out a record. I wouldn't want them to put out a second record because I know that it'd be no way it'd be the same. But anyway, if you don't know Winter, it's super slow and doomy. But to me, this sounds like Autopsy slowed down. So it's, especially vocally, it sounds a lot like Chris Ryford in the vocal. But specifically, this album from Autopsy, which I know it is, so I can grab it. So it's like this album from Autopsy, but kind of, this one's not as nasty, but it's slow and heavier and doomier. But this record's more gross and perverted, but this one is, I would say, just heavier and more pummeling. But anyway, this is a double LP. This is LP1, the actual album. Cool white record. And LP2 includes the EP, which is called Eternal Frost. So it comes in this like slip case thing, but I keep the records in its jacket by themselves, so I don't have to pull them out of this every time I want to listen to this. So I have this by my feet with all my other box sets. So I don't know when the EP came out originally. I don't know if it came out, I'm assuming before the full length, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. So, front image. Well, that's the front. There's the back check listing. So, again, this one is also on white. They had a different logo back then. Kind of black metal looking logo, so yeah, I would say if you're into the Death Doom genre, this is definitely one of the more influential records in that entire scene. So yeah, Winter Into Darkness, classic record, and I'm sure if you know Death Doom at all, you're familiar with this record. But yeah, Winter Into Darkness, definitely check that one out if you're not familiar. I know I compare Destruction to Angel Dust, but speaking of Destruction, I got two. Eternal Devastation, obviously, and Cracked Brain. So this is their second full length from 1986 originally, and their fourth release overall. Yeah, because they had Bestial Invasion of Hell demo, Sentence of Death EP, Infernal Overkill, the best record in my opinion, and a top 5 thrash record easily. And then they put out this, so this, in my opinion, this is their first full-on just pure thrash record, because their early material was definitely first wave black metal influence, but this record, there's none of the first wave black metal influence at all, mainly because the vocals, they're kind of high pitched, but the music's less raw and doesn't sound as primitive as they did on the early materials. Is definitely more polished, so this definitely has more in common with Death Row than it does Sodom, so, or at least the early Sodom material, because I know the same year this came out, Sodom put out Obsessed by Cruelty, which is definitely still really influential in the second wave of black metal scene to come later. But anyway, I'm sure you all know that, so I'm kind of speaking to the choir, but anyway, there's the front. 3 guys in the band logo. Guys in the band again, track listing. And we all know what Destruction sounds like. I don't need to talk about the music. This is a classic record. We all know Destruction at this point. Very nice purple record. Put out through High Roller Records, who always do a great job with their reissues. If I had to pick a favorite label that does the best reissues, my answer would probably be High Roller, because everything I have by them sounds fantastic, and it's always super high quality packaging, and all the records are non-expensive, so that's also nice. another poster, guys in the band. Again, I would hang that one up, but I don't want to put tax in this, so I'm looking for some square poster frames, but I don't have very much room, because obviously I have the CD shelf, and this wall right here is a curtain, so I can't put it, or not curtains, a window and some curtains, so I don't want to plug my window in. Right here is a closet for some stupid reason I don't even use, but... And then right here I have some posters, but I have Iron Maiden Power Slave poster, Bathory, Blood, Fire, Death, Sepultura Beneath the Remains, and Storm the Lightsbane by Dissection. By posters I mean flags, not posters, duh, but... So yeah. Not my favorite record from Destruction, that would definitely be Infernal Overkill, but this one is probably my second favorite record. Well, my second favorite release would be the Bestial Invasion of Hell demo, but second favorite full length is this, but probably third favorite release overall, so yeah. Destruction, Eternal Devastation. We all know this record, so I'm kind of preaching in the choir, but this record of Destruction's early records, this one is definitely the most underrated by far in my opinion. I don't really see people mention this record that often. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because there's no smear on vocals, but he got fired. I'm not sure why he got fired. Maybe for being a drunkard. But this record compared to Eternal Devastation, this one has more slower moments, but slower, not slow as in groovy, like Pantera type stuff, but slower as more mid-paced, the way thrash bands could somehow write a song that's mid-paced but not be groovy, so it's still thrash, it's kind of mid-paced but not groovy. But if I had one thing to complain about this record, they covered My Sharona by The Knack. I don't know why they decided to cover that song. I hate the original version of that song, so... Was that a trend in the 80s is to have a bunch of thrash bands cover terrible old classic rock songs, but... I know they're definitely not the first offender to cover really bad songs when they write great music and they could fit on an extra good song, but anyway. And vocally, they got the singer of Switzerland's Poltergeist, another underrated thrash band, to do vocals on this record, but I don't know if he ever toured with Destruction, because on Metal Archives he was only in the band from 89 to 90, which is when this came out, so I'm assuming maybe he did a couple shows and just recorded this and then dipped, but I'm not sure why he left. Maybe he left because he wanted to stick with Poltergeist, but I know this. After this record, they took an 8-year break and they put out The Least Excessive Human Cannonball, which that's one of the worst albums ever recorded. That record's, every copy of that record should be burnt, but let's not talk about that piece of shit record. But anyway, this one is definitely the most underrated in my opinion, but anyway, enough about that. So there's the front kind of weird looking brain, and if you look closely at this album cover, you can see an homage to all the other records. So there's the guy from the Mad Butcher EP, which I still need to get that EP. Kind of the skull from Infernal Overkill. That guy is obviously from Released from Agony. Front. Back, guys in the band, 3-piece, so... Also, another thing, Mike is definitely one of the most underrated guitarists in metal, in my opinion. He gets nowhere near the recognition he deserves. Cool kind of greenish. Was in the same kind of green as the album cover, so green, kind of see-through. Again, put out through High Roller. I just realized all my Destruction records are High Roller reissues, so that's kind of cool. Order sheet, as you can't see it all, it's probably out of date, but look on their website to see what's actually still available. Poster, which I'm not going to show, it's the same as the album cover, but I will show this. Cool flyers from back in the day. And then this, yeah. This is all the Destruction material I need, in my opinion. I don't care if anything after this, but this is definitely the essential material from Destruction, in my opinion. You got the Sense of Death EP, Infernal Overkill, Eternal Devastation, Mad Butcher, Release from Agony, Life Without Sense, and Cracked Brain, but I would also add the Best Steel Invasion of Hell demo on this list too. But I believe High Roller has that on their website for sale. Last time I checked, they had the Best Steel Invasion of Hell demo up for order, but I'm not sure. You might have to double check. But so yeah, definitely if you are one of those people who won't give this record a chance just because there's no smear on vocals, you are definitely missing out. So don't let the fact that there's no smear influence your decision to check out this record. Definitely one of the most underrated in my opinion. And honestly, the last record I give a shit about, so there's that too. But yeah, Destruction Crack Brain. Alright, 41 minutes, almost done guys. Last record and then this video is done. So something completely different from anything I've talked about today. This is Propagandy with Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. So these guys are a punk band from Canada of all places, which apparently Canada has a really good punk scene, which is kind of funny. I didn't realize that until recently. So I would say these guys are like, it's kind of thrash influenced punk, but there's definitely, you can hear a lot of metal in this, especially in, what song was it? I think it was Back to the Motor League and Mete K Morris Unke Raskin Un. Yeah, I know I butchered that, but those are definitely my favorite songs on this record. But vocally, he does a few different vocals. He does kind of like a more melodic singing vocals, and these more like just typical yells, and then kind of like a, not guttural, but kind of like screaming style. But favorite songs on this record is the first song, Mete K Morris Une Reskin Un, Fuck the Border, Back to the Motor League, With Friends Like These, Who Fucking Needs Central Pro, and New Homes for Idle Hands. But definitely, I believe this is their fourth full length, no, I think third full length overall, but I could be wrong. My favorite full length of everything I've heard so far is probably their second record, Less Talk More Rock. But I know apparently the first two records, some people don't like anything after the first two, but from everything I've heard so far, I enjoy everything in the catalog. But I think there's still two records I still need to check out. I still need to check out their last two records. But anyway, of everything I've checked out, my favorite's the second record, like I said. But anyway, front cover, back cover, track listing, put out through Fat Records, which I'm not familiar with that label at all, but this is also an OG press from 2000, which is cool. Very simple label. So if you want a good thrash metal, kind of thrash metal influenced punk record, this is a solid record. So Propagandy, Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes, definitely check that one out. Alright, 45 minutes almost, so thanks for sticking through this one. I'll be back sometime, I don't know. I was gonna do my tape video like I said I was going to, but I tried doing that video twice last weekend, and both times it ended in disaster. I don't know what happened. I just got frustrated and gave up, but I'll do that video eventually. But next video, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll continue with the showing the collection, but we'll see. So if there's anything specifically you want me to do, let me know. I'll do it. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good rest of your weekend. Keep it metal. Peace out.